Late drama then at the City Ground as Newcastle came from behind to win to beat Nottingham Forest by 2-1. Alexander Isak scoring both of those goals then to make sure that Newcastle have finished going into this international break with 2 wins in a row, Cass, getting themselves back into that top 4 pursuit. They're only a point off Spurs as things stand as well. As for Nottingham Forest, it's a little bit more dicey for them currently in the Premier League. They are 14th, but they're only 2 points clear of the bottom 3. Newcastle, for you, deserved winners?
Oh, country mile.
Yeah.
They were far better than Forest, Nat, and Isak was so superb. One of the best performances of the season.
I think, I don't watch Newcastle week in, week out, so Newcastle fans forgive me for this, but the energy in him was brilliant. Yeah. He was everywhere, causing all sorts of problems.
He got unlucky in the first half. They've done a great free kick. He ends up twisting and he ends up getting cleared. And it's the bar as the defender tries to get it away. They rode their luck, Forest, at times, but he was a nuisance from the first minute to the last. Never stopped. Just always available. I thought Joe Willock played really well in midfield. He done brilliant for Isak's first goal. He shins it, by the way, which you don't see too often. Shinners it and puts it in the bottom corner. I was disappointed in Forest with their home form, and that to me was always going to be the big thing, whether they could achieve it or not, is having a really good home record. And they've done well, at the Forest this season. And I thought they were well short yesterday.
It's their first defeat at the City Ground since the middle of September. So that goes to show it's not been an easy place to go to. Liverpool, Man City, they've come away with, they haven't won there. Certainly Liverpool have lost, and I think City drew, didn't they, most recently? So it's not been an easy place to go to, but as you say, you're a little bit disappointed in their performance, especially as heading into an international break. There's Newcastle today waking up feeling a little bit more relieved, a little bit more like, look, we got a good job done last night, whereas Forest go in thinking, we're in a scrap here.
Well, they were, and they was also given the advantage by, he hasn't done it at all this season, Botman. He's been brilliant for Newcastle at the heart of their defence. He gives them an opportunity, which Dennis scores, takes it brilliantly. You're thinking that 1-0 advantage, and they get pegged back just before half-time. They didn't do enough, Forest. My one concern was always, and this will go back to the start of the season, that when you make so many changes of a football club, Steve Cooper finding his best team, and he sort of has done, certainly in home games at the City Ground, like you mentioned. But they, as a team, they just, I can't see them getting anything away from home because they are literally trying to stay in games. They need to have a bit more, and they've invested a lot of money in many, many different positions to try and stay up.
Well, their away form is terrible, isn't it? Unfortunately for them, and they've only scored, 4 away goals, something like that. They are not finding it easy on the road, but it has been brighter at home. They're unbeaten in 10 of their 14 games at home, so it's not, as I say, been easy for a team to get much from the City Ground. There was a controversial moment, thank you, at the end of that first half. In the second half, when Elliot Anderson thought he'd scored his first ever senior goal for Newcastle.
I still wasn't quite sure. I obviously see the replays and the rules and that, but it was a defender that played the ball to the guy out wide, didn't it?
Well, in case people hadn't seen it exactly with what happened, VAR, Peter Banks, advised Paul Tierney in the end to come and have a look at the monitor. And I think possibly because maybe Peter Banks thought 2 heads are better than 1 to come to a conclusion on this one. Perhaps Peter Banks felt as though this is a contentious part of offside, isn't it? It's whether or not they feel a player has deliberately played the ball or not. And I think that was the situation in this game and in this moment where in the end it was deemed as though they felt the Forest defender hadn't deliberately played the ball, and therefore Sean Longstaff was offside in the build-up to what would have been Anderson's first ever senior goal, as I was saying. But
great header.
Oh, it was fantastic. He got, just towered over Serge Aurier, didn't he? He was fantastic. And even the ball in was brilliant as well. But ultimately, it was ruled out, as I say, for offside. But it did lead to a lot of controversy because a lot of people are still going, well, if a defender is somehow getting to the ball and clearing it like he appeared to do, that is a deliberate play. And how can then Sean Longstaff be offside because he's been brought onside by the deliberate play.
Exactly. That.
But the two officials decided that it wasn't deliberate play. But it looked like it, didn't it? He had loads of time,
to me,
the defender.
It looked like he was just, he had time to make a decision and he clears it.
Yeah.
And it goes straight to Sean Longstaff. It was, at the time, when I saw it, I thought, why are they looking at this goal?
Yeah, it was a strange one. But as I say, right at the end as well, Newcastle won it with a penalty, Cass, and all came about from a handball from Musa Niakate. What do you think was going through his head in that moment, Cass?
He's not getting there. He's not winning the header and he thinks he can just go across and he gets his arm out in front. Dangerous. You're giving every opportunity to give away a penalty.
You're never going to get away with something like that.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can be too eager to try and win the ball, where if you don't win it, what is the danger? He might flick it on, he might, send the ball to a different direction that allows to get to someone. But the one thing you can't do is get your arms in front of the player. Once you get your arms in front or above his head, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah,
and that's what happened, and it was a pen.
I was going to say, it did land them in trouble. Isak put away the penalty and Newcastle earned the victory. As I say, Cass, they're a point now off Spurs, plus they have played one game fewer. Can Newcastle really make a realistic push now for top four?
Yeah, I mean, they've gone through their indifferent period. They haven't been as great as late, and what better recipe for Isak to be on form? Callum Wilson had gone a little bit off the boil since the World Cup. He's not quite got to the level that he was playing. Saint-Maximin didn't play particularly well last night. Almiron's not available. He wasn't available last night to play. Didn't start.
Picked up an injury in training.
So there were issues that they've overcome last night, and Newcastle are a decent side. And one thing, Newcastle don't give you really many chances. Just look at their defensive record this season. Yeah. So there are lots of good signs for Eddie Howe's team to carry on getting points.
Callum Wilson's going to struggle to get in that team, isn't he, with the way Isak's playing?
Well, they'll be delighted. They spent a lot of money on a lad with huge potential, and it's been a slow burner for him. He hasn't quite got going. I think now he's got like 6 Premier League goals. He's probably played now in total about 15, 17, 18 games. And a lot of that has been a sub or been subbed. So, Newcastle fans will be delighted. They'll think they've got a new hero to sing about.
Oh, I'm sure they are indeed. And a massive game, by the way, for Newcastle when they return from the international break. Manchester United, who they're 3 points off. They've got them at home on, I think it's April the 2nd. So huge game for them to return to. And Eddie Howe was saying after the game that he's taking the players that he has still to Dubai for warm weather training, focusing very much on that Manchester United game. So, Newcastle very much in hot pursuit of a top 4 place.